I recently watched the movie Madam Web. I enjoyed it. I've honestly been surprised by the lack of so bad it's good enthusiasm for the movie. Um, I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe people just can't recognize how funny something like this is right when it comes out. But yeah, some of the reactions I really don't get. I've been a fan of Dakota Johnson for a while, like as a personality, because she's so dry, and from what I can tell from like the clips I've seen of her in movies, she seems to just always play herself in every movie. So when I heard that she was gonna be the lead in a superhero movie, I knew it was gonna be funny just because she's not a typical casting choice for that. And then like I looked at the movie poster and it was like a typical superhero movie with Dakota in the middle going like this. Just looking super relaxed. So I knew it was gonna be really good. And yeah, I know there's like some kind of mysterious backstory about how this movie came to be. It's supposed to involve the birth of Spider-Man. It takes place in 2003, and a lot of it is about Uncle Ben becoming an uncle, and we see his sister pregnant, and we see the baby. But at some point they were forced to remove everything explicitly about Spider-Man from the movie. So we don't even have the name of the baby, we don't even get to know that it's Peter Parker. We just see like a lot of screen time for a random baby that is the main character's friend's nephew, and we don't even know why this baby is here. In general, there's a lot of like stretching out scenes by either showing the same scene twice because it's future vision, or just having the characters like magically learn stuff by going through like a clip show, like a surrealistic clip show of like previous scenes in the movie, which I feel like is a good way to try to fill up a movie that you presumably had to remove a lot of things from. But that's not really what makes the movie so funny. Like, I think even if this movie was what it was supposed to be like originally, it would still be funny just because Dakota Johnson is like not a typical superhero actor. So yeah, there's one scene where she's trying to encourage someone like, you did it, and she's like, you did it, you did it. Yeah. So the movie opens with Dakota's mom researching spiders in the Amazon right before she died, and she's looking at a spider web when her assistant like opens an umbrella behind her in a really shocking way. So I was already laughing. And then they have like a little argument, and the mom is like, thank you for the umbrella, which also was funny. In the next scene, she finds the magical spider that she was looking for that cures diseases, and then her assistant turns out to be the villain, and he starts like shooting everyone and trying to steal the spider for himself, even though what he does with spider powers is never really explained. He doesn't seem to do anything. But when Dakota's mom, you know, entreats him like, please don't steal the spider because don't you want to help people? He just explains his motivations very straightforwardly. He's like, well, I didn't have all the advantages that you had in life. So he kills her. And there's some spider people living in the Amazon secretly. So they save the baby, Dakota Johnson, and send her to the US, where she apparently has a traumatic childhood. So I don't know why they did that. But basically when she grows up, she's just very like, she works as a paramedic, but whenever she saves someone, she's like, who? She like doesn't even remember them. She's like approached by the child of a woman that she saved, and she's like very rude and like seems upset and surprised that this is happening. Meanwhile, the villain is picking up a woman at the opera by dropping his playbill or whatever, brings the woman home, and his entire apartment is like a giant terrarium of the Amazon rainforest with the magical spider in it. And the woman that he's picked up is like, wow, cool apartment, with apparent seriousness. And then after they sleep together, he falls asleep, but he then has a nightmare where, first of all, oh, by the way, I guess he like hasn't aged very much, which I assume is because of spider powers, but he like wakes up and He also has like a fake accent, but you can't really tell what it is. And he wakes up and he has like gray hair and he's old and he's like, "What did you do with my spider? You took my spider." As if it is just his pal. And then he has like a long dream sequence about all these like spider women that are like attacking him and beating him up and killing him. Then he wakes up and he's like confiding in his one night stand about all of this. And he's just being very straightforward. He's like, "Yep, for years I've been having these dreams that these 3 spider women are going to kill me. And it's really frustrating because I want to find them and kill them so they can't kill me. But I don't know how to find them because all I know is what they look like." Meanwhile, his one night stand is very like game. Like she keeps being like, "Ha ha, that's so funny." And then he's like, "But the NSA has technology that would enable me to, if I get a sketch artist to draw what these girls from my dream look like, then I'll be able to find them in real life." And then like, I didn't even make the connection for a minute, but the woman freaks out because I guess she works for the NSA and this has all been like a honey trap. So he like kills her and steals her credentials, then sets up like a little, a bunch of screens where a geek works, which is kind of like stuck into the corner of his apartment because most of it is the Amazon rainforest terrarium. And so from then on, he's able to just like automatically find the 3 girls from his dream based on their appearance. And they're not spider women yet, they're just teenage girls. Apparently, that's another thing that was changed. I think in the original movie they were supposed to be superheroes, because now it's basically a movie about a bunch of people who don't do anything. So he decides to kill the girls. Meanwhile, Dakota Johnson like almost dies by drowning. And at this point she gets future vision, which basically just means that she keeps experiencing the same scene twice. Yeah. So that goes on for like a long time. She sees somebody die after she like could have prevented it because she had already seen it happen. She goes to the baby shower for Peter Parker's mom, and she's forced to play like a very weird game where you're supposed to submit a piece of paper with like your favorite memory of your mom. So she submits a blank piece of paper and then everyone puts her on the spot and is like, "Don't you remember anything about your mom?" Like, to me, this is a very inappropriate game because lots of people don't have a mom, but she, like, then is just like, "Yeah, I don't have a mom. She died in childbirth," making everyone at the party uncomfortable. I'm kind of realizing as I'm talking about this that, like, the movie does have to be seen. Like, I feel like it is Dakota's performance that makes a lot of this so funny, but basically she's supposed to be, like, traumatized by her childhood, and especially by her belief that her mom cared about spiders more than her. As she says to a photo of her mom, "I hope the spiders were worth it, Mom." So she just like basically hates her mom for researching spiders when she was extremely pregnant, which is understandable. Later on they reveal a reason that it's supposed to be okay, but it still seems crazy. And I honestly, I resent that they won't just let the mom be a nerd about spiders. Yeah. But, so anyway, then the villain starts trying to kill all these teenage girls, and Dakota has to save them, and, now I'm getting bored. She drives them into the middle of a forest, and she leaves them there, and she just says that they have to stay there even though they don't have any food. And then she leaves to go do something. There is a cat in the movie that I liked. Then she comes back, but the kids have all like run away, gone to a diner where they get killed by the villain, but then it was just future vision, so she goes and like saves them, and she's like stolen a taxi that she's driving them around in, so she never gives it back. She just keeps using it as her car, and she actually leaves and flies to Peru, and she continues to like use the taxi as her car. Like, she apparently parked it at the airport the whole time that she was gone because she like returns home in it. Yeah. So then she goes back to Peru and she meets the spider people who saved her mom, and there's a she goes into this whole flashback where she sees her mom, and she finds out that she was diagnosed with a disability before she was born, which, for what it's worth, I think they should have kept it vague, because they obviously picked a random disability that actually isn't something that you're born with, which I know, but I don't think they knew. And so it's basically this whole dream sequence where she finds out that her mom was given the advice by a doctor that, like, there's no cure for this disability and, like, you just have to treat it. And the mom becomes really offended and is like, no, I'm gonna go research spiders in the Amazon to, like, prevent my daughter from having a disability. And, like, all this time Dakota has been like, wow, what's this about? I don't have a disability. And then she, like, realizes that the fact that her mom was bitten by the, like, spider when she died is the reason that Dakota doesn't have a disability. So then she turns to her mom and the dream flashback and is like, you did it, you did it. Anyway, she then is talking to the spider person in Peru, and he is, like, telling her that because of her powers, she has the ability to be in 2 places at once, and so she'll be able to fight the villain. By the way, the villain, like, does have spider powers, like, he can climb on the ceiling and stuff, but it's kind of like I said, he doesn't really do anything. Like, for quite a while, I thought that his only power was just that he stayed young. Like, I thought it was sort of like a Tangled kind of situation, that he literally just wanted the spider so that he could stay young and hot. But, I guess he was using his powers for something. Maybe he's rich. Again, his apartment is just a terrarium. So, I don't know what he's using the power for, but it's apparently important to him. And Dakota's only power is future vision, but then it turns out she can be in multiple places at once. And then after this scene, which everyone was laughing at because it was really cheesy, the movie got the biggest laugh, which was that it cut to the villain and he was just squatting. Like, yeah. I want to finish this video because I've spent a lot of time on it, but I am realizing it's kind of hard to convey why this movie was so funny, because I think a lot of it was Dakota's performance, like, you did it, or just, like, whenever anything happens, she's like, I can't believe this is happening. And then, the villain is just, like, very ADR'd, doing this accent that doesn't make sense, just doesn't really appear to do anything, keeps saying the same things again and again, like, these girls shouldn't exist. These girls cannot be allowed to exist. Yeah. So, what else happens? Like, I really loved watching it, but I am bored describing it because nothing really happens in the movie. So by the way, all the teenage girls are staying at Uncle Ben's sister's house. Like, she didn't have a problem with him bringing these random teenage girls, even though these girls were supposedly kidnapped by Dakota and they're in the news and stuff and they can't go anywhere without people calling the cops. Peter Parker's mom didn't mind these girls just being moved into her house. But anyway, they're staying there and her water breaks and they have to go to the hospital to deliver the unnamed baby. And so then at that point the villain finds out where they are because of his NSA information. And so then he's trying to, like, kill them at this, like, fireworks factory that has a giant Pepsi neon light on it. And the reason this is important is because the S falls off, and when Dakota was having her near-death experience early on, she kept seeing this image of, like, the letter S floating around, which I thought she just liked the letter S, but it turned out that she was foreseeing this whole event. So basically there's just, like, a really long sequence of her, like, trying to save the girls, and she eventually, after a long time, kills the villain by making the letter S fall on him. But she dies, but the girls bring her back by doing CPR, which honestly is funny because there was a long sequence where she taught them how to do like chest compressions, because she's a paramedic. It was a very naturalistic scene of her just teaching them in a lot of detail how to do chest compressions. So because of that, they're able to save her. And she now is blind and paralyzed. That's fine. you know, I'm like the first person to say that I don't think having a disability should be treated as a tragedy in the media, but I feel like the thing here is that uh, I'm guessing, I don't know anything about the Madame Web character, but I'm guessing the character is iconically in a wheelchair and blind, and so they felt like they had to show her that way at the end because it was an origin story. And so they had to be like, yay, she's in a wheelchair and blind. But it came off very weird. Because, like, she immediately wakes up, she opens her eyes, she's blind, and the girls are like, yay! And she's then, like, in the hospital, paralyzed and blind, and she's like, I feel great, I'm so happy. And she's now, like, ready to adopt these kids in, like, a complete personality 180. I will say, the only thing about the movie I genuinely didn't like was, like, the switch from someone not wanting kids or anyone in their life to suddenly wanting to adopt 3 children. As well as the fact that the mom had to have some kind of, like, excuse for why she was researching spiders in the Amazon and can't just be, like, a mad scientist. But basically, it's kind of weird that the whole point of why what the mom did is supposed to be okay is because she doesn't want her child to be born with a disability. But then at the end, the character gets a fairly severe disability and is, like, completely happy about it, like, doesn't have any sort of, like, normal adjustment period that a person would have. So it basically cuts to the last scene, and, like, you just start laughing because, like, Dakota is wearing, like, geeky sunglasses and is, like, in a power chair and is just, like, happily hanging out with the kids and is, like, so happy that she's adopting them and is, like, has this very sort of, like, beatific, is that how you say that? Just this kind of, like, saintly vibe, like, she's kind of lost her personality, such as it is, and is just kind of like, wow, I love you girls, you're so amazing, and she keeps going like this, like, tilting her head to the side, like a lizard, and yeah, the movie just ends with her, talking about how happy she is and that she's looking forward into the future, seeing them as Spider Women, and apparently seeing that she's going to be able to fight with them using her ability to, like, manifest, like, in a body somewhere else. And that's the entire movie. Yeah. I feel like I kind of ran out of steam while I was describing this. I would really recommend this movie. I think it's very funny. It's actually kind of hard to explain how funny the movie was. But yeah, they did it. I wish I knew why people were like, this movie is the end of the world, this movie is so terrible, I'm so mad that this movie exists. I don't know, it's fun. Like, I regret not getting a chance to see Morbius in theaters, but I feel like I've kind of consoled myself with being able to see Madame Web.